When he turned his back from shoulder to shoulder, it looked like as wide as the tailgate of a truck.
And just darkness, literal darkness, just came like all over, just all over me except where I was standing.
This thing let out the most blood-curdling, mind-blowing, spine-tingling scream that you've ever heard in your life, and it cut through me like a knife.
And I knew that they were going to take me. I just knew it. And then the next thing I can remember is being levitated.
Well, when I look in there, I see two big eyes staring back at me.
Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Bump Podcast, a place for the believers of the unexplained, monsters, and paranormal. Join us, and we'll go face to face with what goes bump in the night. Hey there, believers. I got a great episode for you today. Like every time we come on here. Today I'm bringing on Joe. He lives in Pennsylvania, and he sent me a message on my email account reaching out to me about some things that he's experienced before. He sent me this awesome picture that, I guess could kind of be a weather anomaly, maybe, except for one little thing. It's like this weird cloud formation, right? And then it looks like something has punched through the clouds and like pulled part of the cloud down with it, kind of like tore through it. Like if you have a piece of wet tissue and then you drop a marble through it, how it would kind of sag the tissue down in one spot. It kind of did that effect. And, that alone would be, kind of weird, but it had like this object, like this metallic object in the sky beneath that area, like something punched through. So it looks kind of like a UFO picture to me. I'm sure I'll share it on social media or add it to this video or whatever, so you guys will get to see it. But on top of that, Joe wanted to talk about some other experiences that he's had. He had a demonic encounter, which led to the discovery of a spiritual gift. And hopefully he'll be able to, give us full disclosure on all that. I'd love to hear more about that. And there's a couple other things I'll let him get into. The emails, we've passed a lot of emails back and forth, and it just got super interesting. I'm really excited to have him on the show. So we've lined it up to where we can talk before he takes off to work third shift. So hold on just 1 second, and I'll get Joe on here.
All right, got it.
Good to go.
All right, hey, my name's Joe. I'm from Pennsylvania. I'm on the show today because I sent you this picture of something I saw in the sky. I saw it happen. I saw it form, and I had no clue what it was. And we bounced some ideas back and forth, but it was the strangest thing. I left work. I worked night shift. I was coming home, and the sky was it was real weird looking, but it was pretty, and so I was watching it.
Yeah.
I looked up. I'm like, wow, these clouds are neat, but all of a sudden, something shot straight down through the clouds. It was like it sucked the clouds down with it, and then they kind of faded out towards the top. And I didn't see anything. I just saw it happen. So I keep watching this. I'm like, I probably watched the sky more than I watched the road on my way to work way home from work there.
Right.
And I kept going. I was probably about 2-3 miles down the road, and I happened to look up, and I saw this little tiny silver dot just off to the left of the anomaly. And I'm like, I have no clue what this is. And so I sent this picture to a couple buddies of mine. I sent this picture to you. I sent it to some other people, and nobody can exactly get back to me as far as what it is or what they might think it is. And I figured reaching out to you, you talk to a lot of people. And so maybe someone else had seen something that was similar, or, but I have no explanation for it.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, I'll share the picture and let whoever wants to take a look at it, check it out. I'll even tag a meteorologist or something in it just to see if they can tell us, this is a weather pattern or something like that. But you're right. It looks like something like punched a hole. You use the analogy of like a bullet going through water. That's perfect.
Yeah.
And that's what it looks like, but in the sky. And then you have this little metallic object. Like,
And like we were talking earlier, I said about how I would have wrote it off completely if I didn't see it happen.
yeah.
Because I don't know clouds. I don't know how weather patterns work, but there was no rotation. It was a calm day.
Yep.
It wasn't your typical tornado weather. So I don't have a natural explanation in my wheelhouse for what it is.
Yeah. You caught it's literally a UFO, man. You know what I mean?
Or we could use the new term UAP because it's a phenomenon. Like,
yeah, it's an aerial phenomenon.
I don't necessarily like that term, but they keep changing it. So
yeah. But this fits it. Who knows what in the world you got a hold of? But I'm glad you sent it to me. It was a great catch, man.
Yeah, that's like Indiana County, Pennsylvania. I mean, we're in the stick, so it could be anything.
Indiana County.
Yeah.
That might help out. Do you know about when this was?
Second or third week of February.
Okay.
So and it was like 7 a.m, and it was 36 degrees out. It was clear. I mean, there was no precipitation. It wasn't windy.
Yeah.
But that's the first UFO type encounter I've ever had. I've always kind of been interested in it. Like, I grew up, my mom used to watch X-Files all the time, and I'd sit right there with her. Like, so I'm into the weird stuff. I've always been. But as far as experiences go, like, I don't remember having them, but my eyes weren't open to the possibility that I could actually see them.
Right.
Until one instance, and it's probably the one we'll save for last because it's got the paranormal, and we don't want your bad juju coming through.
You want to keep the internet going as long as we can.
As long as we can. I mean, everything else I've got is just, it was like I have an encounter with a stick man or a slender man, and it was real short. And I do have another UFO related story, but it's not mine.
Okay. Well, let's hear it, man. Let's do this. I love it.
This one's weird, and I'm going to tell it to you how it was told to me.
All right.
I know I work with the guy, and he swears by it, and I have no reason to discredit what he's saying.
Yeah.
But I'm not necessarily sold on the fact that it's UFO. I have another theory, but I'll tell the story how it's told to me.
Okay.
And then we can break it down.
Nice. Yeah.
So he said it was winter. It was back in the 80s. And he's driving his 1970 something pickup truck. Him and his buddy were in the vehicle, and they're driving down this straight stretch of road. He said it's nothing but cornfields on either side, big cornfields. So you can see there's, he said there's snow on the ground. It's pretty calm day. He said they were just driving down the road, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it seemed like he got T-boned. He said there was a big bang. He saw sparks. His truck went sideways, spun across the road. I'm like, what happened? And he says, I'm telling you, I got T-boned by a UFO.
Okay.
Like, and he goes, I laughed a little bit, like, because I couldn't believe it. And he goes, see, you don't freaking believe me, right? I'm like, no, I'm not calling you a liar, because I'm into this weird stuff. I've heard all these stories. I listen to these shows, and some of this stuff's stranger in your imagination. And I said, no, I'm not discrediting it. Like, what do you mean you get T-boned? He goes, look, I got out of the truck. He goes, there were no tracks in the snow, so it wasn't a deer. He goes, and even if it was a deer, it wouldn't throw sparks.
Right.
So it's like, so no deer, no snowmobile, no nothing. I asked him, I had to ask him, were you drinking? He goes, no. He goes, it was too early in the morning to be drinking.
Okay.
So I said, all right. He goes, but the whole bedside of his truck was caved in. personally, I don't think it's a UFO. I'm not discrediting his story. I'm just saying his explanation doesn't add up to me.
Yeah.
Because why would a UFO be flying at ground level?
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying that couldn't be.
Right.
We
It
don't
could.
know.
Right.
But something that small, it only caved in the side of his bed. Now, we don't hear too many stories about UFOs that are like single passenger units.
Right.
Usually, whenever we experience a UFO, any story that, you know, anyone tells is it was huge, it was in the sky, I saw it from,
Right.
you know, a mile away. So my mind goes to like parallel dimension,
Mm-hmm.
crossing over the veil. And because the only thing that I can say personally is I know where it happened. I know the fields he's talking about, and he's absolutely right. The woods are probably 300 yards on either side.
Wow.
So there's nothing could have come out and went back in and he didn't notice it.
Right.
So I'm thinking it was some sort of alternate reality, parallel dimension sort of thing where it crossed over. But I have no explanation for that one either.
Man, that's wild. So
It-
was there any evidence of something? Like, I know he's got the dent in his truck or whatever, but was there like anything left of whatever hit him?
He said he did not find any pieces, no debris from anything else. He said there was just the paint was stripped off his truck. You know, whenever it hit, it flaked all the paint off.
Yeah.
And he said there were sparks whenever it impacted, and his buddy was a witness to it. So it wasn't just him telling a story.
Man.
He's got corroborating.
Yeah.
Corroborating that party.
Because I thought, okay, maybe it was a Civil War reenactment and somebody fired a cannon across the field and hit his truck, you know.
It could have been.
But
I don't,
you know, that at that distance and there's no cannonball stuck in his truck. You know what I mean? Like you would find something.
You would think, but I don't know how that sort of thing works. I've heard people talk about it to where some people say they can travel there.
Right.
I've never heard of anyone saying that they brought anything back with them or took anything to there with them. It's just them.
Right.
So I don't know if it comes from another dimension or whatever. I don't know if that's something that it's tied to that. It's allowed in, but if the tie's cut, maybe it has to go back.
Yeah. Well, you know, that explanation is as good as anything else. I mean, who knows? I mean, it's something that I just out of the blue and just slams into his truck. That's horrible timing on that part.
It full size truck, and it'll hit with enough force to turn it around facing the other direction on the road.
Now, is this also in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, this is in Cambria County.
Cambria County. Okay. And how close is that to Greene County? I think it's Greene County.
We're about 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay. Because I don't know if you listened to that episode I did with Kevin Paul. He's an author that lives out there. And he's got all these stories, man, from like southwestern Pennsylvania. And I swear I think that there's something, you know, like some kind of portal or something in that area. And
it's all Appalachia.
It is all of Appalachia, man. It really is. I have an episode coming out tomorrow. From the time we're recording this on the 8th of March. So on the 9th, you'll hear it before this episode releases. But it comes out of Virginia, like
okay.
I think it's like northwestern Virginia. It's close to the West Virginia border. Crazy stuff. Like I can't wait for you to hear this.
I get excited. Like I follow you. I'm subscribed to you, the Confessionals, Hollow Sky, Sasquatch Chronicles. Like I can't get enough.
Yeah, man. This one's nuts. Like I can disclose a little bit of information because it will have already released. It's kind of weird working like recording before stuff. I don't know. But for Tom's sake, this guy shoots Bigfoot, man. 3 times. And to hear him tell about it, I believe him 100%. You know, 3 rounds with a 30-30.
The Confessionals, Tony Merkel had a guy on his show. Early episode. I can't remember the number off the top of my head. But it's this guy from Ohio, I believe. And he said he was out turkey hunting, I think it was. He had a 12 gauge, and he said a Sasquatch walked up on him. And he goes, he got about 15 yards from me.
Yeah.
He goes, and I blew his head off.
Yeah, I
Like,
blowed his head off.
That's
part of his
his
intro.
intro.
Yeah.
I was like, that's crazy, but
Yeah,
I don't have any reason to doubt these people, you know.
Either. Yeah, this guy, he was coyote hunting, and he was in a little ground blind, and he saw this Sasquatch like stand up out of the grass or something, and he said he was almost like 100 yards away when he was a teenage boy. He flipped out, got scared, went ahead and shot it. He said he could hear the thump from where it hit him, and then it turned around and started coming at him. So, yeah. Well, it's good. I won't tell you anything else. It's good. And there's so much more. But yeah, all of Appalachia, like you were saying. I'm sorry, Jeff.
No, you're good.
All of Appalachia, man, is weird.
It is weird. There's been Sasquatch sightings up around my dad's house.
Wow.
A friend of mine has seen it in his backyard. He swears it locked him in his shed.
What?
He said he was working in the shed, and the door slammed shut, and he's got one of those hasp latches on it.
Yep.
And there's no way to open it from the inside. He said that door slammed shut, and and shortly after he heard a car pull up, and he's yelling. Nobody was able to hear him. He said the only way I got out, he goes, I let off 3 rounds through the roof because they knew I was in the shed then. Nobody was outside. He goes, I swear that Bigfoot locked me in there. He said he has pictures on an old phone, and we've tried to get it to turn on. We can't get it to turn on, but he said it's 18-inch tracks. And that's 5 minutes from my dad's house.
Oh my gosh.
So, I mean, I think more of this stuff goes on than people talk about. Because
there is.
That's why I don't discredit the people that do talk about it, because most of society is gonna be like, this guy's off his nut.
Yep.
Talk
That's
about
the thing.
Bigfoots and
people make jokes, but they have a story too. They have a story about something.
Something they can't explain.
Everybody's got a story.
It doesn't have to be. Doesn't have to be Bigfoot.
No. But talking about how everybody around here, there's always something weird going on. I saw on Facebook, how they'll post like houses for sale and stuff like that on the trading post pages or whatever. This guy had this little house for sale, and I looked it up on Google Maps and Google Earth. He had this house for sale, and it was talking about, it was a decent price. It had like 3 acres of land, good hunting cabin, whatever. And it just said Bigfoot's on property. And I thought, okay, this is a joke, but it was just part of the description. I sent him a private message, and I was like, hey man, that was pretty cool what you said. Are you for real? And he responded back to me all these different things that had gone on. So either he listens to podcasts and got a lot of information, or this stuff's been happening to him, like gifting and the whole 9 yards. And I was like, hey, I would love to just come out and just check out the property. He took the whole listing down, disappeared, can't find it anywhere on Facebook. Like I thought I had me a little hidden gem that I was going to go check out.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it's still in your search history from Google.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I'm sure I got screenshots. But yeah, it's everywhere, man.
It is.
People are coming around, I think.
Well, and I think too that there's something else going on.
Yeah.
You're hearing more and more reports come out, whether it's becoming more mainstream, which is the case. You've got shows, on Travel Channel, you got Finding Bigfoot, Expedition Bigfoot. You've got all these ghost shows, and it's kind of like it's conditioning people.
Mm-hmm.
But I really think that there's something else, because there are more stories now than ever.
Yeah.
And you got to think too, like back in the day, there were still stories in the 20s all the way through, those people especially, they didn't have time to make stuff up.
Yeah. Why would they?
That's, I don't know. It kind of brings me to, I don't want to get too off topic here,
Oh, you're good.
but I get into religion. Like whenever I was in college, I took a course,
Mhm.
and I thought it was going to be the biggest waste of time because I was born and raised a Christian. Those are my beliefs.
Right.
Why should I have to study other religions? You know, I mean, I wasn't really interested in it until I took the class.
Right.
You listen to these religions and their stories. You can take the names away. You can take the places away. You just focus on the details of the story. Like every civilization has a story of a flood.
Right.
You know, you look at the Norse gods, the Roman gods, and the demigods, and all this, and their superpowers. You know, it's the same.
Yep.
I really think that all these religious texts are all telling the same story one way or another because somebody had to write it. And so you're going to have a little bit of creative license with what you write. So of course things are going to change, but the events are all there.
I agree with 100%, man. And these demigods, I honestly believe in my heart they're talking about the Watchers and the Nephilim, you know, the men of renown. You know,
It very well could be.
I think it's the offspring of the fallen when they bred with human women. They made this giant race that had these celestial powers. You know, the creatures of Genesis 6, the cause for the great flood. That's what I think that is.
Yeah.
And I think they were all about being worshipped, you know. Why not? You know?
And that's, I mean, like,
they had the
what
sacred
are you going to
knowledge,
call it? You know, they had a limited knowledge. They didn't have a huge vocabulary.
Right.
So you see these people doing crazy things and they don't necessarily look like you. You can tell they're different.
Yep.
And they're so much more superior than you.
Yeah.
Of course they're going to be a god.
Yep.
So, I mean, it goes all the way back. I think there was a cover up a long time ago. There's secret information we're not supposed to know.
Yep.
And whenever we start talking about it, it's like, oh, these people are fringe. They don't know.
Oh yeah.
Their tinfoil hats are on a little too tight.
Yeah, it's easy to make somebody out to look crazy when there's like one person saying something out of 1,000. You know. Yeah. They're the crazy one.
But that's not just one. That's one person we hear. You know, if there's 100 stories and only one of them's true, well, it still means there's truth.
It's true.
You know, there's something there.
That's
and
it.
All these people can't be making stuff up.
Exactly.
You know, whether it's a ghost encounter, something, you know, like a Bigfoot, all these other cryptids, you know, and then, you know, the out of body experiences and all this, like the list goes on. Yeah. You have so many people talking about it. Yeah, maybe there's a few people that are making stuff up, but it can't all be fake.
Yeah, no, they're not all faking it, and they're not all just mistaken. There's something going on, man. There's something, and like you just said, all these cryptids. That gets me to where I want to talk to you about your encounter. It may not be a cryptid, but it's a stick man.
Yeah, now
that's interesting to me because I thought Slender Man was supposed to be an internet like.
That's what I thought. Now I never wanted to come out and call it a Slender Man.
Right.
Because it was the urban cryptid.
Yeah.
But I've heard multiple people talk about a stickman encounter. Now, whether it's just a thin shadow figure,
right,
whether it's some sort of unknown cryptid, I don't know. But I'll just tell the story from the top here. It's not a very long one.
You're good.
So I travel the same road to work every day. I'm leaving the house 10 o'clock at night. And all weather conditions, whether rain, snow, sun, you know, clear skies. So I've seen this road every day for the past, I've lived here for 3 years now. Every day for 3 years, I've traveled this road.
Yeah.
I came down this hill, and the way the road's set up, you come down a hill, and then at the bottom of the hill, it takes like a dog leg to the left and then right up a hill. So you kind of have to watch the corner for deer. They like to be in there.
Mhm.
Something caught my eye there that wasn't supposed to be there. And I'm at ground level looking, and I'm like, oh, it's just a deer, because it was real thin legs. Well, I didn't see 4 of them, and I kept looking up. I had a point of reference on the telephone pole. It was about 6.5 feet to the top of a posted property.
Right.
This thing was probably another foot over it.
Mm.
And it looked like your internet representation of a stick man or slender man, but it was all black. He didn't have the white face. He didn't have the, the coat or whatever he wears,
Right.
And it could have been pareidolia, but I could explain the visual away by doing that, but I've never been able to replicate what I saw.
Right. And in 3 years, you never saw it again.
And I never saw it again. And 2, every hair on my body stood on end. I had this primal fear come over me, and I don't get nerved up. I don't get scared like that.
Right.
And I reached in the center console and I held my gun. I keep a 9 in the center console.
Right.
And I'm like, this isn't going to do anything. Like, this is all in my head. Like, the minute I touched them, this isn't going to do anything. And I have to slow down to take this hard left. And I had probably a good solid 3 seconds looking at this thing, and I could not identify it.
Wow.
But all 3 seconds, the hair on my neck was standing up. I got jittery, and I couldn't get away from there fast enough.
Mm.
I have no clue what it was, but it was something that was there.
Man.
And it looked a lot like what a stick man or a slender man's been described.
Yeah. Now, I know you're driving, you're going around a curve, you're seeing this thing out of nowhere, standing there, you're looking at it from the ground up. Were you able to make out any kind of features?
That's the thing. I had my high beams on. This thing looked like a cutout.
Yeah.
There were absolutely no features to it. It was like a void, like the absence of black. Like
it absorbed the light.
Yeah, like exactly. Like it absorbed the light. My headlights reflected off the telephone pole, reflected off the trees. You could tell that the headlights were hitting it. This was just flat black.
Yeah.
It was a shadow in the middle of light. And I can't explain that.
That's wild. That's freaky.
And I've different times a day. I went back there in the daytime, and I was still like, that day I came home from work and I pulled over and I looked, there was nothing disturbed that I could see, but
Right.
I don't know what it looked like before,
Right.
but I couldn't explain it. There was nothing in the way that could have cast a shadow. There was nothing. And even if it was a shadow, like that did cross my mind. If it was a shadow, you still would be able to see the limbs of the trees and stuff behind it. They'd just be darker than what's.
Yeah. Yeah. You'd still be able to see.
Yeah.
Man, what I trust just as much as the visual is the way it made you feel.
I've never felt like that before in my life. Well, since I was a kid.
Right.
I had sort of an experience. My mom told me about it. Reminds me. She used to remind me about it, but I vaguely remember it. I remember being terribly scared, but she said that I had seen red eyes in the backyard, and that's as far as my recollection of the event goes.
Okay.
But I do remember that feeling, and that's the only other time that I've felt like that.
Yeah. Wow. Man alive. See, now I don't know if that's an encounter that I would want to have or not. I would love to visually see something like that. And I would love for it to be in a vehicle while I'm flying down the road past it, so I'm not stuck there with it. But I don't know if I actually want it to happen, period.
I mean,
If
it had to happen, that was the best case scenario.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine being back in those woods, come hunting season or something, and I'm walking.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
I'm sure that feeling would have been amplified.
Yeah, I imagine so, man. Holy smokes, could you? Oh, yeah, man.
Oh no.
If you're burnt down on the side of the road and that thing comes out of the wood line.
you know?
I mean, you'd be looking over your shoulder the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I really think that there are hot spots
I do too.
for, whether it be cryptids or paranormal. I think that there are certain elements in nature that create an environment for these things to show up. I have been in woods where it feels like I'm being watched. It just creeps you out.
Yeah.
You just feel uneasy. But I could spend a whole day in the woods other places and it doesn't bother me one bit.
There was a spot where I worked, and it's right here in Logan County, at Chief Logan State Park. I could go to the very tree that I would sneak off to for a little coffee break. I smoked then. I would go back, light up a cigarette, have a cup of coffee, because if anybody was coming, like a guest, I worked at a wildlife exhibit. If any cars would pull up, I could hear them,
Yeah.
So I could run down there and greet them and let them in. But it was just my little hideaway spot. It was a little down tree beside a creek. Perfect. It was beautiful. Some days I go back there and it was just serene, like something out of a movie. Other days I'd go back there, and after a couple of minutes, I'd get that feeling like I'm being watched. And I would have to
nervous.
to the point where I had to get up and leave just 2 or 3 times. And I worked there for like 4 years. But 2 or 3 times I'm like, I shouldn't be here.
Yeah, that's
what makes you have that feeling, man, that you shouldn't be there.
I think it's something in our DNA, something from long ago. Before we were civilized.
Yeah.
Or as civilized as we are, try to be.
As civilized as we can get. Yeah.
Yeah, but I honestly do. I think it's something ancient in our DNA, something bred into us where, when we weren't on the top of the food chain.
Yeah.
Not saying we are necessarily.
Right.
But
well, we think we are. So.
We think we are.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I want to talk to you about something spooky.
All right. This one.
Yeah, man.
This one gives me goosebumps talking about it to this day.
If you're comfortable enough to talk about it, then I want to hear it.
I've told this story a couple of times, but every time I do, I get the chicken skin.
Yep.
So and this was my first paranormal encounter. And this one, at the end of it, kind of explains some of the other weird stuff that I couldn't explain in my life prior. It's not really that stuff's not really noteworthy. It's just like a feeling I'd get or, something. But it was explained to me why those things happen.
Yeah.
So I was dating this girl about 4 years ago, and she had a kid. He was 7 at the time. She had shown me video of him. She goes, "This kid's crazy. He creeps me out." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "Look at this." She goes, "I took this video when he was 3. So 4 years prior, he's sitting in the living room and he's looking to the back of the house is the kitchen. He's looking out towards the kitchen, and he's like, "Mommy, who's that?" She's like, "Who's what? There's nobody here." He says, "That man." She goes, "Sweetie, there's nobody there." She had 3 or 4 of these videos in the course of, I'd say, a year and a half of him just asking, like, "Hey, there's people here. Who's that?
Yeah.
What are they doing here?" And then it quit. So spring forward to present day. At the time, he's 7. I start dating his mom, and everything's fine. Well, pretty soon he starts seeing these people again. "Mom, there's people in my room." "Mom, who's that in the window?" And he's not scared of them. He's not scared. He's just curious.
Right.
And she writes it off, and maybe imagination, or could be seeing a shadow, whatever. I understand that. Then there was this smell in the house.
Oh no. Okay.
It smelled like a sizable animal. I'm not talking like a mouse. Something about the size of a raccoon was dead and rotting in the floorboards.
Yeah.
But it was only centralized to one spot. It's probably about a 5-10 foot radius. And then once you got out of that, you could smell the wax warmers. You could smell, the rest of the house like normal. So that was kind of weird.
That is weird. Yeah.
It gets worse. It gets worse.
I dread these stories so bad. Like,
I'm already getting goosebumps.
yeah,
but,
man.
So the one night we're there, he comes downstairs and he says to his mom again, Mom, there's people in my room and they're not letting me go to sleep. And she goes, well, I'm going to put a stop to this.
Yeah.
And she goes to the bottom of the stairs. She yells up there something like, leave my kid alone. He's got school in the morning. He needs to sleep. Something answered her.
Now, see,
I don't know if you can see, but
yeah, I can
I got
see.
goosebumps bad. Something answered her, and it wasn't with a voice. It was this raspy, low, guttural growl that lasted for about 5 seconds, start to finish. One growl. That's all it took. She was gone.
Yeah.
Because I'm spending the night at my mom's house, and so I closed the house up. I left. I went back to my house. I got on the phone. My mom had a friend who is, and I know I'm going to miss some things, but she's a spiritual medium. She's a Reiki master, and does something with energies. I don't know exactly what, but she can sense things. Like she can put her hands on, not on you, but on you, and tell if you've got an attachment. She can see auras, and it was something I was interested in, but
Yeah, for sure.
I don't. You got to prove it to me.
Yeah.
I'm one of these believing skeptics.
Yeah.
I carry a healthy skepticism with me.
Yeah.
So, but I called her. So, like, I was like, look, hey, something's going on. And I explained it to her. She goes, that's definitely not good. I'm like, no, it's not. That scared the hell out of us. So she said, I'll come up. So, okay. She goes, what I want you to do is I want you to go to the store. She goes, I want you to get some sea salt, rock sea salt to put around the house. She said, I'll bring some crystals. I'll bring sage. We'll do a cleansing. We'll read. First, she was going to read the house and then do a cleansing. It's okay. So she comes with her friend who also has abilities. And they got out of the Jeep in the driveway. And she looked at her friend from across the hood of the vehicle. And she goes, do you feel that? And her friend's like, yeah, we need to get in there. And I'm like, okay, like, I'm getting goosebumps again, like,
Right.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they're trying to creep me out, it's working.
Yeah, no kidding.
So they get all their gear out and they go and they sit in the house. And my mom's friend, puts herself in this state of mind. She sits on the couch, she closes her eyes. And this is all after the introductions, of course, but she closes her eyes and she's like sensing the energies in the house. And she said, so you've got 4 human spirits in the house. She said, they're not bad. She said, but they're trapped. And it was just like, why are they trapped? Here comes the bad news. There's something much darker and more powerful keeping them here and feeding on them. So we got the kid out of the house.
Yeah.
She left the house. Her friend stayed behind. So it was my mom's medium friend, the person that she brought with her, my girlfriend at the time's friend, and me still in the house. And so the medium clears the spirits. She opens a gateway, lets them go to cross over into the light, invites them to. It's their choice, is what she said. And I know I heard you had an episode. Someone said that there was a choice.
Right. Yeah.
To cross over, which I thought was kind of neat. When I heard that, I was like, that's the second time I've ever heard that.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
And so it was their choice whether they wanted to walk through the doorway that she opened up to go to the place of judgment.
Right.
What she called it. So I was like, okay. She goes, all right. She goes, now what we're going to do is we're going to light some sage. She got out her crystals and all this other stuff. And she goes, we're going to walk through the house room by room. And she said, we are going to try to get rid of this thing. I said, what do you mean try? It's like, we need it gone. She goes, we're going to try. So we go through the house. We start downstairs, and the way the house is set up, you got the living room out front, and there's a bathroom. Then you come into the kitchen, and then through the kitchen, you go up the stairs to the bedrooms. So we went upstairs, went through the downstairs, headed upstairs. Once you hit the top of the stairs, there's 3 rooms directly at the top of the stairs. It's just a landing. We went through her son's room and came out. Went through her room, which was straight ahead from the stairs, and came out. And then we went into what she called the closet room. And we had it trapped, is what the medium said. And she looked at me and she said, I need your help. I said, what am I going to do? She said, we're going to get it into a corner. And she goes, just follow our lead. She goes, use every bit of intention that you can muster. And have in your mind that you want this thing to go back to where it came from. We want it out. So, okay. I'm like, this is all, I'm still kind of skeptical, but I have the creeps. We got to the point of that room and you could feel everything got heavy.
Yep.
Like you had this lump in your throat. At least, I mean, I felt a lump in my throat, and it was, I don't want to say cold. It was almost an oppressive feeling, though. It wasn't comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So we got it into the corner, and she goes, all right, put out your hands and just start thinking. And then she starts this prayer. And the way she does it is she mixes whatever your spiritual beliefs are with like Wiccan, white magic, or white, it's white Wiccan. It's not the dark stuff, but it's a blend. So she prays to the goddess, but she also invokes the name of Christ. And I don't know how to describe it. I'm sitting there and I've got my hands out in front of me, and I'm concentrating, like, all right, go, get out of here, and it's all going through my head. And my hands, I don't want to say they got like fell asleep, but it was like that pins and needles feeling.
Yeah, man.
And it went the whole way up my arm, and I just kept at it until the medium said, okay, it's gone. All right, cool. She goes, all right. She goes, we're going to pack up. She goes, you take that salt and spread it around the house and create a barrier. And she gave me a piece of paper, and it had an incantation on it. Just a little phrase to say something about love and light, protect this home, sort of thing. Just a positive deal to, go along with it. That way you have some verbal intent spoken as you're throwing this salt out. So I did that, and then I came back in, and she goes outside. We were going to have a cigarette. And so it was just the 3 of us, and they're talking, and she looks at me and she goes, so did you see it? No, I didn't see it. I felt it. And she goes, okay, because you're sure you didn't see it? I said, no, I didn't see it. She goes, be glad you didn't. She goes, it was dark. It was ugly. She would not describe it to me beyond it was ugly. I said, what was it? And she goes, I don't want to use the word demon, but that's the closest word I can come up with. Okay. And so we're out there talking a little bit more.
Yeah.
And she believes in spirit guardians. Like, you can manifest a familiar. So I think hers is a wolf, and I forget what her other friends was, like an eagle or a hawk or something. It was a bird. And she looked at me and she goes, do you know how to conjure a familiar? I said, no, I don't know anything about this stuff. And she says to me, she goes, well, you have an ability. What? She goes, there was a 3rd familiar there. Okay. I didn't have any knowledge of this.
Right.
And I've heard this on your show before. And whenever I heard it on your show, it just kind of was like a light bulb moment for me, because I kind of disregarded it up until that point. She said my familiar was a dragon.
Yep.
And like I said, at the time, I was like, all right, whatever. But we got rid of it, right? And she goes, it might come back. She goes, but here's the deal. She goes, I'm not going to tell you it's your fault, but it's your fault. I said, why? She said, your light is like a beacon to them. They're like moths to a flame. It was here all the time. She goes, it just didn't like when you showed up.
It irritated it.
It irritated it. It aggravated it. It wanted me gone. And I was like, oh my God. And something clicked for me. I was like, I was attacked.
Yeah.
And she said, what? I said, I was attacked. And I told her this story. Me and my girlfriend at the time were having an intimate moment.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I got this splitting headache. I couldn't keep my eyes open. I thought I was going to throw up. I said, I got to go. I got to go. I grabbed my things up. I said, I got to get home. I got to get my migraine pills. I said, if I don't leave now, I won't be able to drive. I need these pills to, take care of my headache here. I said, it's bad. And so I left. I wasn't a mile down the road and the headache just went away.
Wow, now come on. That migraine don't go away like that though.
I know. I've suffered with migraines for a long time.
Yeah.
I've never had one come on like that, and I've never had one go away like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a mile down the road and it went away.
Yeah.
And I chalked it up to like, wow, that was weird. That was weird, but
well, you would think that if you didn't think that there's a demonic force trying its best to wreck your brain,
and it was just trying to get me out.
Yep.
And I didn't put any stock into that until she said that it was attracted to you because you aggravated it. It's like hitting a wasp nest. You hit that nest, you're aggravating them. They're coming after you.
Yeah.
I said, and that's when it clicked for me. I was like, I was attacked. And I told her, and she goes, that's exactly what it sounds like.
Wow.
And to my knowledge, we're no longer together, but to my knowledge, nothing has happened in that house since. But what did happen was significant.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
That was probably my most memorable experience ever. And to learn that I had a gift and this was another thing she told me, was that I have this gift and she wanted to teach me how to use it. She said, you can use it to cast protection. You can use it to protect others, protect yourself, protect a dwelling. She said, you can do different things with it. She goes, but there is warning attached to it. She said, the more that you're in touch with it, the brighter your light is, and the more of a magnet you become for this negative crap that wants to snuff you out.
Yeah. So what do you do? Did you try to develop it, or are you just leaving it alone?
I've worked a little bit on certain aspects. Like I took in meditation.
Yeah.
From what she told me, meditation is super, super helpful for me. I don't believe I try to do everything as holistically as possible. I try not to get into medicines, and I don't want to be one of these people that whenever he's in his 70s, he's got a stack of pill bottles that he has to take every day.
Right.
I want to do everything as naturally as possible.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, meditation, I'll do that. And I found that whenever I meditate, you start from the ground up, and you try to calm and calm and calm. You work on your breathing and everything like that, and eventually you calm your mind. And whenever you're in that mind calm state, it's almost, the silence is almost deafening.
Yeah. And
I believe that it helps me sort out the important stuff of the day to the stuff that doesn't matter, and it decompresses me. But I believe that's the state at which I'd probably be the most open to doing things, because you're more in touch with yourself at that point. But I'm afraid that if I do that, I don't want something worse to happen, because I had no clue, and I was getting attacked. The kid was seeing things. We were hearing growls. We were smelling death.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I'm more of a conduit or more of an attraction to them, more of a magnet, what else is going to come down the road?
Right. How much worse could it get? Right.
I don't want that, but
Right.
she said, you know, if you ever need to use it, she goes, just know that if you can calm yourself and you can put forth enough intent, she goes, you can shield yourself. And apparently anybody can do that to a degree, you know, because whether it's faith-based or, you know, or an ability or whatever, the amount of intent that you put into something, you know, you get in what you put out.
Yep. I believe that.
So
wow.
that's about as far as I went with it. I don't want to.
Yeah,
I don't want to experience anything bad.
I don't blame you for that. You know, it'd be a big temptation, you know, to see if you could develop something like that. But it's a risk versus reward kind of thing at that point. You know, what are you even messing with at that point? You know.
Yeah, I don't.
That's a scary game.
It is just. I mean, you know, she told me that I had special abilities or I was special, and it's like, okay, I got a strong energy, strong life force. I said, that's good. I'll just keep that to myself. I don't want to broadcast that out into the spirit realm and, you know, have things come visit me.
Well, you know, it's the same thing, or it's a very similar thing. It feels like in the Christian faith, of the closer you get to God, or the closer you get to, you know, working on developing a relationship with Christ, the more spiritual attacks you have. It's like the harder the devil fights against you, you know?
And I think that can circle back to what I mentioned earlier, where whether it's Christianity or not,
different names for
got truth to it.
Yeah.
So
it goes back to the light, right? The brighter your light shines, the more of the opposite you attract. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's beautiful, because whether, you know, you and I are both Christians. I know you've spoken many times about being a Christian.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I was born and raised Christian.
Yeah.
But I think if the whole world had that mindset, you know, was able to put, you know, names aside,
right,
and focus on the stories, we'd all be on the same page. It'd be a better place.
Absolutely, we would.
I don't think we're ever going to see that day.
No. No. There might be a push for a one world religion, but I don't think it'll be the religion we want it to be.
No, one world anything. I mean, my tinfoil hat's pretty tight when it comes to that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of like shadow government stuff, and I mean, that's a whole discussion for another day.
Yeah. We'll work that one out on email before we get on on here about it.
I think that's one, you know, you light a fire and you sit around with a cooler full of beer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's definitely one for the patio.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it goes deep. It goes deep. You know, man. The theories and the different ties that you can use. Synchronicities here, synchronicities there.
Yeah.
But you can make a connection if you want to.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And that's what makes it so crazy.
That's the scary part, is that no matter how far-fetched we might sound, the truth is worse. You know?
Yeah. I believe that there's things in this world that, you know, we're only being told half of it, if any of it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot. We can get into some of that for sure. Sure. Do you listen to Tinfoil Hat?
No, I don't. It's on my list of things to listen to. The way I listen to shows is I'll find one and I'll binge the hell out of it.
Yeah. And
then by the time I get caught up on that, I can go back to one that I've already been listening to, and there's a whole list of episodes that I can binge on that.
Yeah.
So I make my rounds, but I gotta get in. That one's one I want to get into.
That's a big one. That's a good one. Tinfoil Hat and what's the other ones, like Conspiracy Theories and Unpopular Culture?
I haven't even heard of that one.
It's Isaac Weishaupt. is the host's name. He's written a bunch of books, like #1 bestsellers on Amazon. He's been on Tinfoil Hat like 10 or 11 times. That's how I found out about this guy. But those are huge shows that will just piss you off, really. That's what's going to happen. It's just going to make you more mad. But
I listened to quite a few of Charlie Robinson's shows.
yeah, like macroaggressions.
Macroaggressions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now there's some of his episodes where if within 5 minutes he's lost me.
Me too.
You know, he might be talking way above my head. You know, like, I don't understand a single word this guy's talking about, or
Yeah.
you know, it just the topic's not exactly interesting. I'm not throwing shade, but
I know that's right. Man, he'll go into 10 minutes of something, and I'm like, man, this is turning into an infomercial, you know, and I'll just turn it off, you know.
Go to the next one or switch over or whatever. But yeah, he puts on a good show, and he cites his sources.
Oh, for sure.
Which is, you know, a lot of the times he cites his sources, and that's kind of what makes it scary.
Yep.
You know, conspiracy theories turning into fact in certain places. It's just, you know.
Yeah, it's good though.
It's entertaining, but it's scary as hell.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'll send you a couple of links if you don't mind to shows I listen to that you might want to put on your list. Because otherwise, it sounds like we had a very similar podcast library, you know, with Hollow Sky, and, you know, Tony, the Confessionals, Sasquatch Chronicles. Those are all great shows, man. Great shows.
Yeah. And speaking of Hollow Sky, that picture that I had sent you, I sent that to Kyle over there. I sent it to him on Instagram, and he said he was going to show Steve, but they didn't get back to me with what, you know, any ideas what they thought it might be.
Yeah.
But
well, you know, their show has blown up. Like,
I know, it's crazy.
They've hit the big time. So maybe they're just piled up with emails or something. I'm sure they'll get back to you. They're good guys, man.
Oh yeah, he's been, you know, Kyle's been pretty good about getting back to me. You know, anytime I message, just within a day or two that I get a reply.
Yep.
Yeah. But I realize, you know, people's got life going on. It seems like all you podcast guys got COVID at the same time.
That was weird, wasn't it? That was so freaky, man.
Everybody got sick at once. They had that, you know, Wes Germer was sick.
Yeah.
The Hollow Sky guys were sick.
Yep.
You were sick.
Yep. Tony got sick too.
Tony. I think Tony was the second to last one to catch it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was weird. That was a little creepy.
Yeah.
There's another show, From the Shadows. I don't know if you listen to that show or not. They're out of Ohio. That's on
my list to listen to too.
Yeah, they're out of Ohio. They got sick too. It's like everybody. Well, Joe, is there anything else you wanted to cover before we hop off here? I know you got to get to work and stuff, man.
No, I think that's pretty much it. I can't wait to hear this episode coming out tomorrow about the guy shooting a Bigfoot.
Oh, you're going to love it. I'm telling you, you are going to love it. It's wild. And it don't just say it's Bigfoot. We talk about Dog Man. We talk about Wendigos. We talk about all kinds of stuff. It's a wild one. And this episode we just did tonight together, it'll come out next week.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Right on.
It's coming right out. So thank you very much, man. I've loved having you on here. I could talk to you all night, man.
Can I point one thing out?
Yeah, for sure.
I burnt this sage while we were talking. I don't think the internet cut out once.
Hey, I didn't have any problems. Thank God. Good. That's some good sage.
So maybe that's what we ought, you ought to do is have it burning while the interview's going on.
I can do that.
Paranormal ghosties coming up, that's better light the sage. I got this copper bowl what I burn it in. And
Sweet. Mine's just in a little
on a plate and light it with a fork.
But yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I'd love to get a copper bowl. Half the stuff I have is copper. But yeah, man, I love it. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you for having me.
And be careful tonight, man.
Oh, I will.
All right, brother.
Take care, Bo.
You too.
I'm bringing on Justin, and he emailed me through the website and let me know that he wanted to come on the show. Again, it's somebody that found out about the Bump podcast through Sam Tripoli and Tinfoil Hat. So big thanks again to Sam and the guys for letting me come on there. It's been wonderful. It's been a great reception since then. But anyway, Justin emailed me. He wants to share his experiences that he was inspired to come on and talk about because of Sean from a couple of weeks ago. Like Sean, he's had some very similar experiences with this evil female entity at night, in his sleep. There's been a lot of fear, you know what I mean? He was just a little boy, and he was saying that she would do things to taunt him and stuff like that. And now that he's an adult, he still has encounters and experiences through the sleep paralysis state, but it's separate from sleep paralysis. He feels like it's almost an interdimensional kind of thing. So dreams and dimensions, right? We're going to get into it. We're going to see, just what the spirit world and the dream world, how they interweave, and just try to figure this out. And another similarity here is Justin is also from Kentucky, just like Sean was at the time he was having his experiences. So maybe there's something about the area, something about Appalachia in general. We have a lot of guests on from there, and I'm right in the middle of Appalachia, so we'll get into it. He has some methods that he uses now to avoid getting in too deep into, some of these encounters, and I'll let him tell the story. Okay, so just give me 1 second and we'll bring Justin on.
All right. Well, hey, Bo. My name is Justin Marindro. I am from the western northern side of Kentucky. I'm 32 years old. I've got two kids, and I got one on the way. Got a wife, all that. I would say probably my first encounter with anything at all paranormal. Because I don't remember the exact age, probably between 6 and 8. I remember this because my parents had just recently divorced, and I was about 5 or 6 at that time. So all this probably happened around the same time, maybe a little bit after. So I always go with around 6 to 8 years old. So I've been raised in church my whole life. My mom said that whenever I was born, she heard God tell her, "Here's your son. How are you going to raise him?" So she took that as a very literal thing. She always had me in church from the time I can remember. It was always church every week. So even at a young age, as from being anywhere from 6 to 8 years old, I knew who God was, and I knew the whole story. And I also knew who Satan was and all that. So even at a young age, I was very well versed in the Bible and about all that. So during this time too, we had just started going to a new church. It was a local Baptist church. It was a kind of a large church. We had just really started getting involved with, I was doing a lot of stuff with the kids. My mom was doing a lot of stuff with the young adult group. So we were very involved. And also during this time, my mom had started dating. She had started seeing some people. And so there was a lot of things going on in my life that I kind of contribute to this. Like, it could have been some trauma involved from my parents being divorced and all that. So I've tried to rationalize it and say, okay, well, maybe this is why. But around this time, I started having these dreams. I don't really exactly remember the dreams, but I remember talking to my mom after the fact and telling her about it. It's kind of hard to remember your dreams and word for word, but I remember telling her that, first I remember being just terrified to go to sleep at night. I was just horrified. I'd cry, I'd fall asleep for a bit, and then I would wake up after having these dreams. But the main thing I remember about the dream was it was a female, and she she, like, at first she didn't look like you would think a demon would look. She just looked like a normal lady. But I could totally get the sense that she was evil, and she wasn't necessarily out to hurt me, but she was out to taunt me. Like, the main thing I remember is that she would laugh and like shove these crosses into my hands. And I don't know what the significance is of that, but that was the main thing I remember there about that dream.
Yeah,
it's pretty wild.
that is.
But after that, like I said, I had that dream for a few times, like throughout that. It was, like I said, it was, I don't know exactly the time frame, but it was a pretty long time that I had this same dream, and it was the same thing. I was afraid to go to sleep at night. You know, I would have this dream. It was always this lady, and like I said, I remember her face and stuff, but that was the only thing I had at that point in my life. It was just that one dream, and then after a while, like it just kind of stopped. I don't know why or how, but and I didn't have anything else at all throughout until I was about 11 or 12, and that's whenever the second encounter happened. Yeah, I think it was about that time.
Yeah,
it's about 6 or 7 years later.
Wow.
I had this second encounter.
Now, this evil woman, did you recognize her at all? Like, did she look like anybody?
No, like I said, the only thing I remember is just seeing a face. Like, I don't know. It seemed like she was really large. She was larger than a normal woman would be. And I want to say she had brown hair. But no, I didn't know like who she was or anything like that.
And she's shoving these crosses into your hands.
Yeah.
Do you think that might have been like a challenge to your young faith or something?
It might have been.
You know,
possibly.
Because if you get the fear, you know, the feeling that she's evil, then you know she's not handing you those crosses. That's, you know, trying to help you to stop her.
Yeah.
It just sounds like a challenge to me, and that's pretty scary stuff, man. Especially at such a young age. That's terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
All right. So what happened when you were 11 or 12?
Well, so just to give you a little a little pretext of what was going on in my life at this point. So I was about 11 or 12. My mom and dad had actually gotten remarried. So they were divorced at a young age whenever I was young age. And then at 12, they had remarried. And we had just moved into this new house. And it was kind of like a fresh start thing. Like we had just moved, which we moved a lot. As a kid, my dad was in the Army, but we always stayed around in the same spots. Like it was always in the same county, but we just moved around a lot. But so we just moved to this new house. It was kind of out of town. It was in like a rural part of the town. So we didn't really have a whole lot of people around us. I think we had a neighbor that was down the road, maybe like a half mile or so. So it was out in the woods kind of too. So there wasn't a whole lot around. Well, so there was the first time I ever experienced any kind of sleep paralysis or any kind of like it was an entity sitting on my back. So it was, like I said, I was about 11 or 12 years old, and I remember this encounter a lot more than I did the first one.
Yeah.
It was in the middle of the night, and I didn't actually look to see what time it was that I'd woke up. I do remember that I had a TV and a VCR in my room, and the lights from the TV and the VCR were on, but that was all that was on in the room. There wasn't any kind of clock or anything like that. But whenever I woke up, I was asleep on my stomach, and this is something that's pretty common with all the other encounters that I've had later in life. I like hear this wind sound. It's like a loud sound, and the only way that I can explain it is like a wind. And it's like blowing in my ears. But this was the first time that this had ever happened. So I'm trying to figure out what this sound is, and then all of a sudden I feel this. Like I said, I hear this loud wind, and then I feel something like sit on my back. it doesn't make any sounds or anything, but I can know it's like, I know it's there. Like I can feel it pressing me down into my bed. And I couldn't move, couldn't talk, couldn't do anything. And so I tried to scream and I couldn't. I tried to holler for my mom, I couldn't. So the only thing that I knew to do was just to pray. And as soon as I started to pray, it stopped. But that was probably the only time that I actually felt something like in my room. So being at that age, I researched like where I was at, and I didn't really know. I think the house that we lived in it was either haunted or maybe had some spirits there, or it was just a bad place, you know. But that was the first sleep paralysis, and I don't think it happened after that. It was only the one time there at that house. But we also had an encounter that involved my mom and sister as well, and I'd actually forgotten about this, and I was talking to my mom about it, and she started telling me a little bit about it. But it was a time that my dad was gone. He, like I said, he was in the Army, so there were weekends or weeks throughout the year that he would have to leave for a week or two to go to another base in another state, that kind of thing. So I remember it was the middle of the night. Like I said, I don't remember what time it was again, but my mom woke me and my sister up, and she was really convinced that there was somebody or something outside the house, because we also had hunting dogs at the time, and they were just going crazy. And one of our dogs had gotten out, and you could hear him running around the house. He was after something or somebody. So she came into our rooms and woke us up, and we had like army crawled back to her room and just kind of camped out there the night, you know.
Yeah.
So like I said, that she was really convinced that it was somebody, but me knowing that I'd had that encounter a couple of weeks before, I've always thought that it was something that was outside that, you know, our dogs could sense, because there wasn't anybody really close by that could have, you know, came around the house, and I don't even know why they would. It was so far out there, you know.
Right. Yeah, that would be scary too, man. And this thing's sitting on your back.
Mm-hmm.
And you had never had sleep paralysis or anything like that before?
No, this was the first time.
Yeah, and it felt more like, because you've had sleep paralysis since. Did this first experience, did it feel like sleep paralysis, or did it feel like something more physical than that?
It felt more. It felt like sleep paralysis. It was more, like I said, the whole wind sound is a common thing with me.
Mm-hmm.
And like a body vibration is also a very common thing with all the ones that I have. But as far as something sitting on my back and like pressing me down into the bed, it felt like a physical thing, you know. Like,
wow.
I don't know if it was so much like a physical person, but it felt like a spiritual thing, like something was, you know, holding me down. And then once I started to pray, it stopped, you know.
You know, that's the common theme, ain't it? It seems like for everybody that actually takes that step to do that, once they pray, it stops.
Yep.
So that says something about sleep paralysis to me. Yeah, to me it says that there's a spiritual connection to this stuff.
Oh, for sure.
Man, why do you think they come at you in your sleep? Do you think it's because our defenses are down?
Yeah, I think so. I feel like whenever we're asleep and we dream, it almost feels like we go somewhere else, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Whether we can tap into the spirit world there, or whether we hit another dimension, or there's so many things it could be. But yeah, I feel like our sleep is whenever our defenses are down, you know, the most, and our guards down. And I think that's probably why they always come in our sleep.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. That's the only thing I can make of it. Thank God I've never had sleep paralysis. I'd probably want to move or something if I did, but that's why I have to ask these details, man, because I don't know. You know, I've never experienced that. You know, I appreciate you telling me.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll shut up. Tell me what else.
No, you're good. Past that, I didn't really have anything that I know of since then. Like, that was, like I said, I was 12 years old then. or 12 or 11 or 12 at that time.
Yeah.
I don't really know, or I don't remember anything else that has happened past them. You know, I grew up from like 12 years old to about 26, 27 is whenever some of the encounters started again. And at this point, I don't know if I would really call it encounters. It's more just dream state. And you know, dreams I've had, and things that have, it's kind of like sleep paralysis, but it doesn't, there isn't the entity attached to it. Like I don't feel anything around me.
Yeah.
It's just it's like the start of the sleep paralysis. I guess it would be, I guess 2017 is whenever I noticed it started to come back again. And it was kind of the same thing. Yeah, it was about 5 years ago. It's kind of the same thing. You know, I could hear the wind sound. I could kind of feel like a vibration in my body. I don't really know. That's like the best way that I can explain it.
Yeah.
And then I'd kind of feel like I was stuck, like I couldn't move, couldn't talk. But then I would always kind of wake myself up out of it. Like it would start to, it's like it would start, and then I would know it was about to start. So I would wake myself up out of it. And that happens to this day too. Like I'll kind of feel it. Like it's almost like I know when it's about to happen. It'll start, and then like my wife will wake me up or something, or you know, it's always like she'll calm me down now, but back then, I can't explain it. It's so weird, but like I said, it starts, and I know it's about to start, and then just wake myself up out of it, and we're good to go. And it's almost like it's like right before I fall asleep. You know, it's like right before I fall into that deep sleep. It'll start.
Well, I think you're doing a good job explaining it. You know, you feel a vibration in your body. You get that wind hum kind of noise in your ears. You know, I'm no kind of Reiki or expert on, you know, vibration and stuff like that and frequency, but it sounds like your body is, you know, getting to some frequency or some vibrational level, and you can feel it, like you're just in tune with yourself or something. And maybe once you hit that certain resonance, that's when these things happen. Maybe you're into it. Maybe you are like projecting into another dimension or something, man.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, that's one thing I can think of.
I got a couple of friends. I know they're going to listen to this show. Dennis and Ashley. They are experts. Dennis has been, you know, doing astral projection and out of body experiences for a couple of decades, probably longer than that. So he's going to hear this, and he's going to give me some information to share with you. I know that's going to happen.
Awesome.
You know,
yeah,
man alive. That's
like I've kind of felt like that before too. Like maybe if I just let it take its place, then maybe I can astral project out of my body or something. You know, but it always scares me so much that I always make it stop right before it starts. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like, oh, can't do this.
Yeah.
But
well, man, did you have any other experiences as a kid that might have opened yourself up to this?
That's really the main thing I can remember. Like I said, that initial experience as a kid.
Yeah.
And I wish I could remember more about it, but like I said, it was so long ago, and I just remember more so. I remembered like what I told my mom about it, not so much the dream itself, other than the face. Like I remembered the lady's face.
Right.
And then, you know, that sleep paralysis at 11 or 12, around that area. Those are like the only two that I could really recall. Or, I mean, if I did, then I would have had, you know, it might not have been as traumatic as those two, but those are the main two things that I can recall as far as that goes.
You know, and it's weird, the parallels between, you know, what happened with you and what happened with Sean, you know,
exactly.
Even being in the same, you know, general area of Kentucky. You know, you said in your email, you know, what's going on around here between Kentucky and West Virginia, and, you know, just Appalachia. There are so many stories, man. Speaking of Kentucky, this is in the
southeastern corner of Kentucky. But have you seen the series Hell Year?
Oh yeah.
Have you?
Yes. Yeah, I watched it. Yeah, I watched it when it came out, I guess. But yeah, I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, that really got my attention because I'm within a couple
Mhm.
hours drive of that place, probably like an hour and a half. I could be in there.
Yep.
And yeah, it's crazy, but there's just so much that goes on around
Mhm.
here.
Yeah, I know it is. And I spent a lot of time researching too. Like after I watched that show, I was like, that's only, that's a couple hours away from me. I'm on the western side of the state, but still, I mean, that's so close to me. Like I started to look up like if anything like that has happened around where I live, like if there's any caves or anything. But
Right.
it seems like it's located more toward the eastern side of the state. I didn't find anything, here, but yeah, it's a great show.
Yeah, it is. It is. I recommend it to anybody. If anybody listening to this hasn't seen it,
For sure.
then they're missing out. Well, Justin, is there anything else that you wanted to get into today, man?
Well, I did have like two dreams that I wanted to talk to you about.
Yes, absolutely.
So I started having some dreams, and I would like write them down as much as I could. Most of the time, like most of the time, I dream, and then I don't remember it, or I don't write it down in time, so I don't remember anything about it. But I have two that after I had first talked to you about doing this, I went back through my note app, and I was like, oh, holy crap! So one of the dreams I had was it was December 22nd, 2019, and I wrote it down in my note app so it keeps the date on it. So at this current time in my life, I was kind of down. I was in a not really a bad place, but I was just kind of down. I had to move back in with my mom and dad for a while. I lost my house, so I was really I was doing a lot of praying and asking God to show me a purpose or show me why I'm here. And I had this dream, and I'm just going to read you exactly what I wrote down because
Yeah.
it's only a few lines, but it says, last night's dream. In the dream, I kept repeating, if I proclaim it, it'll happen. I felt a surge of power and peace throughout my body and was able to expel all negative and evil from my surroundings and the peace I felt from it all. That's just what I wrote down. I don't remember the dream
Right.
per se, but I remember that it must have been, that was just at a time in my life whenever I was crying out to God for an answer, like show me something, show me anything at all,
Yes, sir. And you felt the peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Felt the peace from it.
I love it. I love that.
And then this next one it was kind of close. It was January 17th, 2020. This one, I don't really know what to make of it. It seems a little more wild. All right. So it was, I was in a classroom and a teacher was teaching a history of Moses and the tablets that is not in the Bible. I don't remember what she was saying, but then she was also teaching kids that we are our own gods. It was located at some sort of camp, like a kids camp, similar to like a youth camp, because I grew up going to youth camps, so I've been there a lot. But there was like healings and stuff, and everybody at the camp seemed to be blinded by something or somebody. But there were people there that could see, and like there was like a veil that had been lifted from my eyes, and then it switched to like so from that camp, like I was in this camp, then the dream switched to like a movement of people. It was like a large group of people, and they were following one guy. They were just like, it wasn't really in a desert, but it was just like in a field, and there was like hundreds and hundreds, I don't even know, just people everywhere, and they were like walking right behind this one guy. So I've been really trying to research what that dream means, because like I said, I'd forgotten about it. I forgot that I'd even wrote that down in my note tab,
Right.
So I was like, what does that mean? So I've been reading through it. But it seems like,
what have you come to? What kind of conclusion have you come to?
I don't know, man. It seems more like a vision, or maybe of what's going to come, because from the times we live in now. I don't want to say we're in the end times, but sometimes it seems like it to me, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like we're almost there. So
It does, don't it? I mean, there's a lot of signs going on, right?
yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
Wars and rumors of wars and pestilence and people doing great wonders and people putting their faith in the wrong places.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So do you think in this dream that you were seeing, everybody following this one guy? Was that one guy Jesus, or was that one guy a false prophet? Or
It seemed like he was false because, like, from the start of the dream, being at this youth camp, and then going from that, it was almost like he was a false prophet. You know.
Yeah.
It seems like the way the dream was going from there. That's the only thing I can make of it.
Yeah, might be something for us to watch out for.
Yeah, for sure.
Because these things happen. There's great deceptions in this world.
Definitely.
Man. Well, yeah, I'm interested to get some feedback from all this. I want to hear what people have to say. Definitely.
For sure.
And yeah, I'm calling out Dennis and Ashley. I know that they'll have something to say about the sleep paralysis and that stuff. So I'll definitely get back to you on that one. And if anybody can analyze these dreams, that would be a major help. I'd like to be able to relay some messages to you if that's okay with you.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because like I said, I just write them down as they come. I mean, if I remember to. So as far as what they mean, I don't really have a whole lot to go with, other than just what I write down. Because like I said, it's so hard to remember a dream. Like I might remember a piece of it or something. So if I don't write it down, then it's just lost,
Yeah.
Because I've had a lot more dreams that might have been more revealing than this that I just didn't write down. So now they're lost, forever. But yeah, I would love to hear if anybody has any feedback on it. Just like the same way whenever I listened to Sean, I was like, because I'm not one to, I would never want to like do a podcast or talk to anybody. But then I heard Sean, and he had like a similar story and dream and encounter, and being so close to me, I was like, dude, I got to reach out to Bo and see what's up,
I'm so glad you did. I'm so glad you did, man. I appreciate you, Justin. It's wild that I was getting my emails mixed up here because I have you and I have another Justin tomorrow night, and I was getting my stories mixed up. So I had to go through that. I reread everything.
Yeah,
but, man, I'm so glad that you reached out to me, and we'll try to get some help to you, man, to get some kind of answers or at least some guidance as to what this stuff all means.
For sure.
I love how, yet again, when somebody has sleep paralysis or they're having some kind of attack, they pray, and in the name of Jesus, it stops.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there's a lot of spiritual attacks going on around me the last few months, and I want more stories like this just to rub it in the face of the adversary, because it's fruitless for them. But I love it, man. It just restores my faith even more every time I hear it.
Awesome.